Yeah. All right. 7:02. Let's call the meeting to order. Let's start with the review of the draft minutes from 15.
I just see one correction and it's on B on the last page.
Yep, May 13th instead of April 15th. That's what I saw too. Yep.
Hi, Kathy.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey.
Hi, how are you?
Finally.
Do you want to shut that door, please? We were just doing the review of the draft minutes, and the only thing we saw was on the back where it said the next meeting will be, it should be May 13th instead of April 15th.
Okay, just up from that, on number 2, future funding, B just needs some grammar change.
Future funding. It may be useful to have a professional help write any amendments to town.
Oh, I get it. Have a professional being the noun, help write is the verb.
Yep.
Okay, I was reading it as a professional help, and what? Okay, got it.
Yep.
Well, that could have been right.
Yeah. Okay, if there's nothing else.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
I second.
Okay, roll call. Whoop.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, accepted as amended. No public attendees, so we'll skip on. No updates yet. How about the planning board? And this should really say pending update land use chapter, Carol and Jeff Littleton, because I think is it still in Jeff's hands? Either the planning board, do you know, Carter?
That's a good question. I am not 100% sure. I believe, Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, does Jeff still have that? Or maybe they were working together was kind of the last thing that I recall, but
Yes. Yeah, and remember at the presentation, Jeff was like, or one of the presentations, Jeff was like using both the old version and Carol's version, so I think he was just gonna switch to using Carol's version. And
Okay, so nothing new then on that.
I recall.
What is the anticipated date that we're gonna get those? Do we have that?
I mean, I thought when he spoke at the planning board meeting, that it was going to be soon. So maybe we need to nudge him or just ask him where he's at. Because my impression was they wanted to finish like all their paperwork before they're like outside doing
Oh,
things.
right.
So
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be soon.
so
Okay.
Christine is still our contact person, she said, even though
Okay.
she's vice chair.
Okay.
So should we have her?
Christine already did reach out to him at the planning board meeting. I was just writing up the minutes, and she said she had reached out to him, but I hadn't heard yet.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
So maybe we'll
Okay,
hold on
He's probably right in the middle. I mean, this would be really busy.
Busy.
for a job.
that. I would think so.
yeah, the weather's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Vernal pools, he's right. So
Oh.
if you're doing anything right now, it's time to look.
right,
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
okay. All right, so that's still gonna sit there pending.
Is the population and housing analysis, is that still, are we waiting for something?
Mhm. That's part of, there must be something in there that is Jeff's also.
Okay.
Is there? I'm trying to think of what could be in there that would be part of that. I mean, I don't remember it offhand, but I was just,
Or Carol is waiting for something from Jeff, so Carol can finish it,
okay.
I think
I
is,
think
but,
the maps. Isn't he generating some maps?
That's probably what it is.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
yep. So it's sort of a domino effect.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, so let's see. let's go on to our, results. And I know this version is cumbersome. I'll share what my thoughts are. So firstly, we got, whoops, 43 surveys. And the overview is that it's folks that we haven't seen at forums, which is good.
Yep.
So hearing from different people. If you look at, so I amended this a little bit, Lillian, just to explain. Option 1, where it says yes or no, it's obviously it's whether they like it or not, or can see it in Temple. 1 is a yes, 2 is a no. And so when we go all the way to the bottom, the housing options, let's see, we go all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, all I did, just to, so you know, I took the rows and I put them all at a size 15, so they're all equal, and then it doesn't take very long to get to the bottom.
Yeah. So if you take a look at the bottom, you'll be able to see what got the most votes. Just remember, the lower number is a yes and a 2 is a no. So in option 1 where it says 37, there's 37 yeses and only 2 nos. So as you go across, you can see of the 40 some folks, the one that had the most no's was the images of the Harrisville little homes on one owned lot, on a single owned lot. But again, there it was only 13 out of the whole total of 43. And then if you continue over, whatever comments, and I just copied verbatim whatever you sent in, whatever comments they made about, say, number 1, the big house, little house, back house, barn, is the first column, second column, third. What I'm going to do next, after everyone looks at this and make sure, just look at the ones that you submitted and make sure that there are no errors to it. But I'm going to then make a Word document out of the commentary. I'll do a document with big house, little house, back house, barn, and all the commentary that we got from that. So it's,
Oh, that's a great idea.
and then I'll do that.
Just bullets.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I'll
yeah.
do the same thing for the next, for all 7 of them. So it's much easier just to fall in one succinct place. Here's everything folks said about this.
Oh, that's a great idea.
But I didn't want to get started on it until folks verified the work that they had done.
So do you want to give us a deadline when to do that by?
When do you want the committee to stop? The sooner the better.
Well,
Well, I mean, like by Wednesday, end of day kind of thing.
If you
Okay.
can, yep,
yeah, today's Monday. Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just to have a deadline so that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And then if you go to the second tab where it says ranking, as you can see, some folks had no problem ranking 1 through 7. Other folks said, I have no problem with any of these, whatever folks want to do on their property is perfectly fine with me. So if they didn't rank any of them and they made that comment to you, I put a 1 in because we were ranking lowest to highest in this category. If we had several that would rank like 2 items in first place, 2 items in second place. So I would give a 1 to the first and second place because they had them equally ranked. But there would be no 2. I would jump to 3 for the third and fourth ranked ones. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
Okay.
So in terms of getting some meaning out of the data, at the bottom, then the lowest number would be the highest ranked.
The most
So
popular,
55 was the most
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which
yes,
options.
55 is ADUs.
yes.
So it really is a moot point because we have them already. More than anything, it was education because not everyone realizes that it's something that they can already do.
Mhm.
Right.
And I think if anything, that was more just an educational component. And maybe now that they know they can do them, for those that did not realize it, there won't be so many of them off the books that
Oh,
we're finding out about now when houses are being
Right.
put on the market,
mhm.
right?
Oh, it's an interesting point, yeah.
Wouldn't count.
It would be nice.
It is New Hampshire.
Yeah. So then the detached ADU, and if you go back and look at the corresponding comments, overwhelmingly, when it came to the detached ADU, requiring twice the acreage was something that folks didn't think was necessary. And again, it'll be easier once I put this in a Word document.
Mhm.
Interesting, the second one, or the first one, big house, little house, back house, barn. To get somebody to build something like that isn't gonna happen.
No,
If
no.
anything, it could possibly be like to Carter's comment about her in-laws place, can't go back to that, even though that's what it was at one point. So perhaps the planning board wants to talk about if that had been a scenario and someone wants to do that. But it's not really a big, I mean, that's not, how many homes does that account for in town, right?
Well,
Right,
I'm not
right,
sure that people are banging down the door to convert their houses.
Right,
right.
that's what I'm
Because
saying.
you can already really do it within, you can make it into 2 units.
Right.
Yeah,
And there aren't that many farmhouses that are that large. that
that's
you
what I'm
could-
saying. How many
could-
do we really
Right,
have?
right. Not that
Divide into
many.
more than 2.
Right,
Exactly,
yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. So I don't think that one, even though it got the lowest, I don't think there's,
I think it's a track. I mean, I think that the challenge with something like what we did is we showed people a picture, but the reality is there's way more to this than a picture.
Well, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, but the whole concept, the whole plan was to get people to understand the styles, the
Yeah.
visual styles, and we weren't getting, I mean, we got into a little detail, but not tons.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely got into detail because
I
I
did
think
too,
people
on the
want
zoning.
to understand, like, there's a zoning change.
Oh, yes,
with these
yes.
dates, right? And
yeah,
what is that?
Yes,
yeah.
And of course, right, I think the connected farmhouse, like, yeah, you look at this picture, it's beautiful, it fits in Temple, right?
yes,
But
Correct.
realistically,
right. I mean, we didn't get into the details of the architectural details,
Yeah.
how it's gonna break out.
yeah,
So even though that one is a low number, I don't really, I mean, what's your opinion? I don't really see where that's necessarily the thing you want to jump on the bandwagon for.
Well, I think we should still report that that came in second,
yeah.
but,
Absolutely. Yeah,
but yes, I agree. Or third, whatever it came in. third.
yeah, third,
Yeah.
but the first place doesn't really count because we already have.
Right.
So the next one is let's see, what's number 5? Is that 5 is the small homes on own individual lots. Is it not?
But there's a
Yeah.
big jump between 3, which had 75 points,
Mhm.
and 4, which had 106 points.
Yeah.
And it's a huge gap, yeah.
Mhm. But for anybody that went, like I said, oh, these are all tied, so they would have.
Oh, yes,
Ones, let's say they put 4 in first place, so 4 got the number 1, and then the next number I used then was 5,
oh, right, yeah.
right?
Hmm,
Because you can't turn around and use 2
right,
to get statistics anyway, as much as you could.
yeah.
But I think it was interesting that eliminate the fact that we already have ADUs. Detached came in next. The one that we really can't do much about, the big house, little house, backyard barn, is the next one. But the one after that is small homes on small lots in a small, in its own PRD or overlay district or something.
What made me super happy was to see in the first tab that granted that one was like half and half, 26 to 13, but everyone pretty much said yes to everything, even though it wasn't their first choice. Most people said yes to every single one of those, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's, the fact we've reaching different people also, right?
Mhm.
For whatever reason that don't have the time to come out, or maybe not confident enough to be coming out and speaking in a group, but one-on-one, they were able to open up. Yeah. What else did anybody pick up on, or what were your thoughts?
I mean, a couple of things I heard from different people or around the small homes were that these aren't necessarily small. Like they were thinking more of tiny homes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which you see in some of the commentary associated with
Yeah,
that.
which you'd
Yeah.
probably see in the comments, but I thought
Yeah.
that was kind of interesting because it's like, oh, I hadn't really thought of that. I guess.
Those are the same size as what's on Moran that's going for 700,000 right now.
Well, and I guess that's my point too, is like, I look at some of these, like this type of a home that's being built today, like, they're quite expensive, right?
Mhm.
They're not really affordable housing.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Like those new townhouses in Milford that they just
Mhm.
built, it's like right in front of Tractor Supply, like,
Yeah.
kind of a crummy location, but they're over 400,000. Like,
Really?
yeah,
Oh
and
my God.
that's not affordable.
No, but the thing is, it's not about, I don't think it's about the market anymore or
No,
about the
I
people
know.
who are buying, it's about the developers.
Right.
Everybody wants, they're only gonna build if it's gonna be high-end, expensive, they can make a lot of money.
Absolutely, and I
Yep.
think
Yeah.
that's where I struggle to make a lot of changes, to want to make changes to zoning. They're not
Right.
if it's not gonna be implemented in a way that's actually helpful, right?
Right,
Like,
right, yep. I mean, they're building, in Manchester, they're building this huge apartment complex on Elm Street. It's right in front of the Market Basket. I mean, it's not like the most desirable spot.
Yeah,
And I found out the other day, they're gonna be high-end condos.
right,
Well, just when they need a lot of apartments,
Right.
it doesn't, the developers don't care. They don't care
no,
at
they're
all.
trying to make make money, right?
Yeah.
Like, and
I
that's,
think what they're doing, they're using like Manchester, Nashua, all those towns, like Mass, kind of
yeah,
Corridor.
for Boston people
Right,
Yeah.
who don't mind driving 40 minutes.
right.
Right.
And who have the
But
money to spend on it.
Yeah, but it's interesting because on the one hand, you have the state that says, okay, we need affordable housing, and they're pushing everybody to look into this. But on the other hand, they're not saying anything to the developers. You need to, if you're gonna build an apartment building, you need to have a X percentage of apartments that are affordable. They're not, they're like pushing the front half, they're not pushing the back half.
Well, and the flip side of that is, remember I said about Sadie Halliday in Peterborough wanting to have 6 workforce housing units out of her 33 apartment complex on Union. the bank would not give her financing because they have to show what your monthly income is gonna be for all of those. And she had to go down to 3 in order to get financing from the bank to
Yeah,
build.
it's like,
Oh, yes.
it's not a problem that's like fixed with even just
Zoning
developers
changes.
or the
Right.
zoning or.
Correct.
Right, like it's a much bigger problem.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
exactly,
It is.
exactly.
When you do affordable housing, it's the worst type of development I see is a row of like, if you have 2-acre zoning, and you do a ton of frontage lots. Because then you can build something without building a road, without building a lot of infrastructure, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So the developer can afford to build it, and
Right.
still make some money.
Yep.
But it's like, oh, it's the worst.
Right, but is that not a,
Yeah.
people wanna.
Yeah.
see that,
Yeah.
right? Like,
And if anybody's a developer, they go, oh, no, I don't want to do that because I'm not going to make enough money.
Yeah.
I want to be able to retire in 2 years.
Unless it's like a, a Jeff Beltate whose purpose was on the initial round of those, even though now those homes are selling for a heck of a lot more over there on Church Street. But his original reason was affordable small houses, right?
Mhm.
And so for him, it was a community thing, right?
Yeah.
But that's few and far between.
Mhm.
I used to work for a couple of guys that they would find. Get foreclosed or somebody died and go look real quick and, oh yeah, you get 4 lots here. And I had an employee that bought one of their houses and affordable housing, and that is also, you get what you pay for.
Mm.
So it was very affordable.
Yeah.
But you didn't get a very nice.
You cut
house,
corners.
Issues.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
I wanted to share while we were talking about this. Cam sent me this. It's a blurb out of the Ledger. It was in 2019, but it said this week in history 50 years ago. Okay. So 50 years before 2019. So it was 1969. Says the Fireman's Hall at Bennington will be the scene of a panel discussion on low and income housing. The panel has been arranged by Western Hillsborough County Health Council. Homes, apartments, and even trailers are just not available to the majority of low-income residents. The few that are available have exorbitant rent or mortgage payments and usually have restrictions against children, which make them unavailable to most low-income families. Health director, blah, 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 said. There was more to it, but that was 50 years ago,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, when she sent this to me, I'm like, here we are, 50, well, no, not even more than 50 years now. 55 years later. Same conversations.
Yeah.
Yet somehow the state grew in the last 50 years.
It
Right.
grew by roughly 200,000.
Anyway, I thought you guys would find that interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Obviously, nobody come up with a good idea.
Yeah.
Put $100 million towards solving this problem by hiring people who are gonna come in and tell you what you really need to
Giving
know.
all these grants.
Yeah, all these grants and set up all these committees and these
Mhm.
special offices and everything. And I mean, our experience has not been that positive. So it makes you wonder, it makes you step back and say, okay, the state spent $100 million on this. And what really did we get out of this? I mean, for us, I think for Temple, it's been very disappointing.
I think there are a few folks in this list who had been to forums and they were appreciative that we were doing one-on-one interviews
Oh,
because
that's interesting.
a very different feel and a very different listening,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard one person say that I interviewed. I hadn't put it in there, but I know.
It's interesting when you said though, the 100 million, the state owns so much land. Instead of giving us all these committees money, why don't you
Why
build
doesn't
some
the
low
state
income
do
houses
it?
with your 100 million on land you already own?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
and that would have actually accomplished something instead of talking about it.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yeah, there are so many other.
Or passing the
alternatives.
buck to little towns.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So what is our path forward from here? So we've done these interviews, we're gonna put together the document, right? And then are we giving a like, here's our recommendation out of this? And I guess at what point will we discuss that? Like,
I
right,
I
are we
don't know if
just-
it's
I'm not-
our recommendation. I think it's just the results and we deliver the results to the planning board.
Okay,
Oh, I thought it was, okay, these are the results.
yeah,
And these are our recommendations, and we could have one or two recommendations, we don't have a lot. But
Okay,
I think because we're the ones who've been watching this for the last year
Yeah.
plus. And if we say, given the forums, given the quantitative data that we've collected in the one-on-one interviews. These are our, if the planning board wants to do something,
the
this is,
community is open to,
This-
yeah, this is one or two.
yeah,
Because there really aren't a lot of, in the grand scheme of things, there aren't a lot of things that people are really open to. But there are some things.
right.
So let's, for the planning board, let's narrow it down to the things that people are open to and give them
Sounds
that.
good.
Yeah, for instance, we already have ADU, so that was really an educational experience.
Right.
But to let them
Tax-
know, I think it would be very educational for the planning board to know. This is what people voted on for number one, we already have it. Are there any tweaks to,
Right.
Right.
anything that we could make to make it more obvious?
Kathy, you
Yeah.
had, and I think one of your interviews, you had someone that gave feedback about that, about more than one, and owner doesn't have to occupy one of them or the house, or I forget what it was, but so there's subtle things within each category also, right? It's not just,
Yeah. I think it's also worth, once you're putting together this document with all of the people's comments, I think that's also worth sharing with the planning board, even if it's all of them, in other words, because at some point they may, I assume they're not gonna just like make one change and that's it. That's like, all right, we're done. So I could see in future years them going after some of these other options, and having the feedback is going to potentially be, even though it may be a few years old, it'll still be helpful, I think.
so
Well, I
they
agree.
will
I
get
think-
this full document.
Yes, yes. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
we
I
do.
think
This
we
full
should.
document will be part of what we submit then with our recommendations.
Yes, but we do have to put a qualifier on there that says, these are the responses, but in the grand scheme of things, 41 responses is a very low sample. And you can't start making great changes based on a small sample. So we
Well,
just, have-
you can, and you'll find out whether people vote on them or not.
I know, but you can't, yes, and I think taking them to the town is obviously what we would do. But you can't say because 10 people thought this was a great idea that the town should do it. Put it together as a package and present it to the town. But you can't just go off a document like this and say, okay, 10 people thought this was great, let's do it.
No,
That's my point.
I agree,
Yeah.
and I think that is absolutely
Right,
a
What
caveat
would
that should be presented, right? Like, this is,
right,
we obviously can't meet with every single person in town. This is
Right.
this actually took a lot of time to do these. They're
It
open,
took
and
a lot of
and
time.
so it to even do 40 of them is significant, right?
Oh, it is,
Yeah.
and I think, I think it's great that we got that many done.
Yeah, but I agree, it is not a huge sampling of
Right.
what, so all decisions should not be made upon
No.
Ultimately, though, any change that comes from this is gonna be an article that's presented to the town. 'Cause
Yes.
There'll be a change in zoning,
Yes,
and once that happens, it's gotta be at least a forum, and anybody that really has something to say.
There will be, yeah, two
Oh,
more.
yeah,
there will be
there.
two
Oh, yeah,
more,
right,
so,
right.
And so this is kind of like a guide, to say, well, this is what, from the people we talked to,
right,
this is what everybody seemed most likely to want, and then you put an article up, and the same people that always go to vote are gonna be.
right.
right,
Exactly.
right.
I completely agree.
Mhm.
I mean, I think, what do you guys think our top recommendations should be? Based on your discussions with people?
I'd say drop twice the acreage for the
Yeah.
detached ADU.
Yeah,
That seemed like the biggest thing.
Mhm.
yeah, I think
I don't think-
looking at it or dropping it, I mean, I think I talked to some people who were like, well, how can you define it differently? I mean, I think there's setbacks in place, but
Yes,
Right.
how do you make sure you are kind of, I think the concern is like, if you're on a small lot, how are you protecting it from being like
Yeah.
on top of your neighbor? So,
And it would still have to comply with all the setbacks of a
Right.
single family home.
right,
yes.
But
Yeah.
there were some that. I'm
Well,
trying to
there
think
was
of
one
in
interview that I-
particular that said, to your point, Carter, instead of saying they shouldn't need twice the acreage, they said we should say 4 acres minimum,
yeah, or something,
if you
right,
want to
like,
detach, right?
Yeah, and the other thing too is one of the interviews I had said, it depends on the lot, because all the lots are so varied in Temple. It may be that there's only half an acre or an acre that's buildable. So in out of 6 acres.
Right.
So it depends completely, I think, on the individual lots.
Yep.
And I thought that was a good comment.
But some towns, what I think is an alternative way to do is make everything soils based.
That, I had
So-
2 people that's their commentary.
Because if, like you say, if you have a small lot, but it's on a floodplain, it's all sand, it's kind of like a
Yep.
terrace. You could have a ton of houses and not impact any kind of water quality or anything.
Yep.
Whereas out here, you're on ledge and what's not ledge is wet. You
Right.
could have 100 acres and not find a building spot.
Oh, right.
No, that's a very good.
I had 2 that said a blanket statement when it comes to building, no matter what we're building, it should be determined by soils, septic, well, the
Yeah.
soil capability of handling whatever it is.
I
Whether it
think
be a
that's
single
excellent.
family home, or it shouldn't even be done on
Yeah, some lots it should just.
acreage,
I'm
it
sorry
should
that
be
it's
on.
100 acres, but you can't build it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, I think
folks-
that's
2
excellent.
folks were onto that, and I'm trying to think, I know one has background in the,
but that doesn't, the soils piece though, doesn't really protect your neighbors, I guess, right? Like that's.
Setbacks do
the
this.
setbacks,
So.
yeah,
If you
Yeah.
could have one house 50 feet from the property line, it really doesn't matter. Because you could say, I'm gonna put my house there then, and the ADU is gonna, so.
So it doesn't
you do
matter.
50 feet.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, so I think. Right, so then if we have this, the setbacks are in place, then yeah,
Yeah.
it shouldn't
Yeah.
really matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
so.
mean, I'm fine with that being. It seems like. A good recommendation, right, that the state may even be pushing down on us as well, because.
Mhm.
Bill's out there talking
Right.
about this stuff.
Yep. And detached ADUs by right, there's one
Yeah.
for that, and
Mhm.
And if you make it tie in with the state, so they're saying you have to be able to do this, okay, well, then as long as we follow the state rules, which says it's soil based.
right, right, exactly. Okay, so why don't we do this? Kathy, Carter and Lillian, just review yours and make sure that you don't see anything skewed.
Okay.
I have eliminated all the names. And then get that by Wednesday.
Okay.
I've got 4 to add, they're just scratched on paper.
Okay,
They're
awesome.
probably all gonna have the same soils based idea, because it's everybody in my house who works for me. So I mean, it's.
Right. But we need to add, yep, perfect. So, I'll get those. Add it to this. I'll start working then on Word docs for all the commentary on each of the different types. So it's a separate piece for each housing option. Our next meeting in 2 weeks is over Memorial Day, so we don't meet till 2 weeks later.
Okay.
I didn't feel like fudging it and putting it back 1 week just because we were missing Memorial Day. if we come back then,
And which date is that?
it's this,
June 10th.
Yeah,
it's on
okay,
the bottom of the
Yeah, I can do
minutes,
that.
yep, or the
Okay.
agenda, June 10th. And then at that point, if we're good with what we've got, and who, I'd like to send, once I get it pulled together, I'd like to send it. I can send it to everybody and you can get feedback. Send feedback to me prior to June 10th, because I'd like it to be done by June 10th.
yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, no, I'm happy to get it reviewed.
Right,
Um,
especially since it's not like you're just taking content, so it's not,
Exactly,
you're not
right,
writing something.
correct,
From scratch, so
Nope.
we can definitely
yep.
have that good to go.
So then if we can approve it on June 10th,
Yeah, do you want to set a deadline for getting those comments back to like at least a week before?
yeah, I'll get right on this now.
Okay,
And how about as soon as I send it out, just take the next few days afterwards or whatever that,
okay,
yeah. And then after June 10th, I'm assuming we have to present it to the planning board, or do we just hand them the black and white?
I bet
They'll
They
ask to
would
be
want-
presented.
something presented,
Okay,
but they would probably give us the date.
yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
And I
Yeah.
think we're probably only meeting, maybe only meeting once, July and August. So,
Oh, yeah, right.
no, I don't know, it depends if something comes up,
Good, two
right?
subdivisions.
Yes, then we may have to meet more than that, so I don't know.
okay. So then we'll just wait to hear when that is.
okay,
Yeah,
The next meeting, June 10th.
June 10th.
I won't be able to be here the 24th if it goes out that far, just, so, you know.
I'm hoping it doesn't.
If we can wrap up on the June 10th, that would be great, because
And then
I don't
ask,
think anybody wants to.
ask the planning, right, yeah,
no,
and we'll have the
Good point.
planning board dissolve the committee and blah, blah, blah.
yes,
The other thing is anybody that did take Ivy's card decks, she's asking for them back.
yeah, I don't. have any.
She needs to use them. So I
Mhm.
forget, I don't know who took them.
I may have one, I will look.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Kathy, did you?
Yeah, I gave it back to you.
Okay, then it's in my bag. I
Okay.
have 4 in my bag.
Yeah, Ivy didn't have like tons. She had,
I think she gave
Only a
me
few.
half of hers. I think because she came to the house with a whole bunch and I said, yeah, I
Oh,
don't need all that.
okay,
I think she gave me 5.
okay.
So, yeah. Okay, if that's it,
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
all in favor?
Aye.
Hey.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Have a good week.
Bye, Kathy.
Thank
You too. Bye, Kathy.